in the rating system of the Royal Navy used to categorize sailing warships. A sixth rate was the designation for small warships mounting between 20 and 28 carriage-mounted guns on a single deck, sometimes with smaller guns on the upper works and sometimes without. It thus encompassed ships with up to 30 guns in all. In the first half of the 18th century the main battery guns were 6-pounders, but by mid-century these were supplanted by 9-pounders. 28-gun sixth rates were classed as frigates, those smaller as post ships, indicating that they were still commanded by a full captain, as opposed to sloops of 18 guns and less under commanders. Sixth-rate ships typically had a crew of about 150 to 240 men, and measured between 450 and 550 tons. A 28-gun ship would have about 19 officers, commissioned officers, and 2 lieutenants. Warrant officers would include the master, ship's surgeon, and purser. The other quarterdeck officers were the chaplain and a Royal Marines lieutenant. The ship also carried the standing warrant officers, the gunner, the boatswain and the carpenter, and 2 master's maids, 4 midshipmen, an assistant surgeon, and a captain's clerk. The rest of the men were the crew, or the lower deck. They slept in hammocks and ate their simple meals at tables, sitting on wooden benches. A sixth rate carried about 23 Marines, while in strong crew the bulk of the rest were experienced seamen rated able or ordinary. In a weaker crew there would be a large proportion of landsmen, adults who were unused to the sea. The larger sixth rates were those of 28 guns, including 4 smaller guns mounted on the quarterdeck, and were classed as frigates. The smaller sixth rates with between 20 and 24 guns, still all ship-rigged and sometimes flush-decked vessels, were generally designated as post ships. These vessels could perhaps be considered comparable to the light cruisers and destroyers of more recent times, respectively. Regardless of armament, sixth rates were known as post ships because, being rated, they were still large enough to have a post captain in command instead of a lieutenant or commander. During the Napoleonic Wars, 1803 to 1815, the now elderly sixth-rate frigates were found to be too small for their expected duties, which were more easily performed by fifth-rate frigates. Most were phased out without replacement, although a few lasted in auxiliary roles until after 1815. Here we can see an encounter between 2 24-gun sixth-rates. 2 Batavian Republic sixth-rates versus 2 Royal Navy sixth-rates. Let's see who wins. If you like my video, please subscribe.
Sir, our admiral is in mortal danger. One of our ships is withdrawing from the fight.